In the last videos we learned the basics of aggressive skating. We learned to grind, but now you want to grind longer. So in this video I'll tell you all the little tips that will enable you to grind those really long rails. I'm Ivo, I'm the owner of This Is All Skate Shop and Skate School. So if you want to get some lessons, it's possible to send us a message on the This Is All Academy Instagram. Or if you want to get some skates, we're here for you because we have a skate shop right next to this beautiful skate park. We're at the Museumplein skate park. It's brand new, super cool. We also have a shop in Antwerp and there's a super cool skate park there as well called Skate Heaven. And in Berlin we also have a store. So if you're closer to those locations and you want to get some gear, check those stores out as well. In the previous video we talked about Wheelbite, and Wheelbite is when your wheel touches the deck. Like right now it cannot spin and now it can spin. So if it touches, of course, you're gonna fall. And if you want to prevent this, then check out the video we did last week. We also have a video about the hardware you need, because different frames will create different grinding experience and different wheel bites. It's fun to experiment with that and to improve your setup a little bit. So make sure you start at the beginning of this series, go through all the steps, because right now for this lesson, I assume that you already know how to grind and you just want to grind longer. We're gonna practice the techniques on a rail. Of course, they're the same if you're on a ledge or if you're on a coping box or on a half pipe. It's just more difficult because then you have more wheel bite issues. So to isolate the technique, we're just gonna focus on the rail right now and get good at that. So how to keep your balance on a long rail. That's the main thing of this video. And there's two techniques that I want to tell you. One, I'm calling the windmill. Of course, because I'm Dutch and I like windmills, but if you swing your arms like this, that's definitely one technique to keep your balance. But it should be a last resort. If you're already like swinging your arms, you're probably at the last part of your capacity to keep your balance. The best thing to do is the boogie. And this is where you move your hips to the front and to the back. So the first exercise that you should do should be the boogie exercises. This is where you push your hips all the way to the back and then all the way to the front. And we'll practice this a couple of times standing still. See if you can just do this a little bit quicker and quicker every time. All right, notice my hands are staying at the same level. If you're gonna grind the rail and you're gonna try to keep your balance, you're first gonna do it with the boogie. And then only if you don't have it with the boogie, you're gonna use your arms. So boogie first, that's the right mindset. Of course, you could do this in multiple foot positions and everybody has a favorite foot position. Sole is really nice. With sole it's the same boogie, but then it's a little bit of a sideways boogie. Notice that my foot is still in this position here while I'm doing this sideways boogie. So you should never have your foot straight like this. There's so many different foot positions. Of course, we have a video just about foot positions. And you should by now kind of like have a couple of those foot positions and maybe have your favorite. Cool little exercise for the next step is to try to balance on the rail as long as you can. See, I'm trying to keep my hands still and just trying to do the boogie. Yeah, of course you need to be able to do this before you really grind it. Now I'm gonna show you an example of a perfect boogie, okay? Let's see if I can do it. Hoppa! Here I think you saw me doing the boogie. Now I'm gonna show you a windmill. All right, that was a windmill. I'll just go ahead and practice those. So do it on purpose, to swing your arms and see what it does with your body. And also swing your hips and just play around with it. Even if it's like not necessary to keep your balance, just play around with it. Because the first step for you is to kind of like know what you're capable of and what the effects are. This is gonna be your daily therapy. Take a day, practice this the whole day. A nice little challenge is not to go fast actually, and to go really slow, because this is all about balance. And speed is not a factor, because speed is actually if you want to practice balance, it's your enemy. Because the faster you go, the sooner you from the rail. The faster you go, the sooner you are off of the rail, and so the less balance you need. So if you want to practice balance, go nice and slow. If you don't have a long rail, you can do it like that. Once you can do this a little bit, I'm gonna tell you a little secret. We made this episode, it's called Think Like a Skater. It's really one of the most important things of aggressive skating is the mental game. With this trick, again, it's also a really big part is the mental projection of the trick. If you only focus on landing the trick, you're never gonna finish the trick. So when you approach and like in the second before you jump, you should have a mental projection of the entire trick, including the landing. A nice way to practice this and to get this mental projection is to look at where you want to land. So as soon as you're on the rail, you need to look here because you're always going to end up where you're looking. All right, so I'm going to show you that. I'm going to make a run up and then I'm going to look there and then hopefully also I'm going to land there. So now I'm jumping, grinding, looking at the end. Whoop! Perfect. And it was a nice boogie, nice correction. This is really so important to look at the end. And if you want to like do a perfect grind, you should land it at the end of the rail. So I would consider this a failed grind. Let me show you a bad example here. And then I'm gonna jump off and at this side. That's a failed landing. But if I do the opposite and if I land on the other side, I would also consider that a failed grind. So if I do this, too perfect. Now I'm gonna show you a failed grind. If I land like this, I would also consider that not a really good grind. You wanna land right there. That as if the rail would have been longer, you would have still continued to grind it. If that would have been the case, it would have been a perfect grind. So that should be your goal and that should be what you practice. But that's also where you should look to make that happen. Now we're gonna do the last tip and combine everything because I'm gonna do a kink rail now. It's not really a kink rail, it has one kink, but still, I think you can consider it a kink rail, but normally a kink rail has maybe multiple kinks. So we're gonna go to the little kink rail and I'm gonna give you the last tip and then everything combines and I'll show you there how that goes. So the last tip for balancing on rails or on curbs, whatever, is that you shouldn't jump on top of the rail, but you should actually jump a little bit on the side of the rail like this. And because you have some sideways momentum, you go from this position to sitting on the top. And you can absorb that energy by making yourself smaller. So I'll show you what I mean. Just gonna do a really small grind, land on the side. Yeah. Okay, that was perfect. So that's the last little nudge that you should do because when coming from the side, you can then absorb your energy. It's a little bit like what we do in the video, learning to push. So watch that video if you want to dive deeper into this. You absorb your energy a little bit so that you end up right in the center of the rail. A lot of beginners, they try to do a rail in the line of the rail, but that's normally not how it's done. So we have a kink rail here. The big fuck up with this kink rail is of course this little kink here. And it's really normal for skaters, if you do your first kink rail, to not make it past the kink. And this all has to do with, of course, your skill of balancing, but the most important thing is the mental projection. So if you only focus on landing the rail, you're not gonna make it through the kink. If you focus on making it through the kink, you're not gonna finish the grind. What you should do is make a mental projection of a series of events in your mind. Landing, going through the kink, balance, and then landing it perfect at the end of the rail. So this is a whole series of like photographs that you should have in your mind. That's what makes it a little bit complicated. Watch the episode Think Like a Skater again if you have trouble with this. And all along with this mental projection, then the skill set of doing the boogie or doing the windmill will kind of like come together. Because in the end, if you practice this a whole day, if you practice a whole day of boogies and windmills, your body knows what to do. But it's just you needing to tell your body what it should do. And you do that with your mental projection. All right, let's see if I can do this. So I went way too slow to do this. Okay, so now you see the next step was I made it through the kink, but I didn't do it perfectly. And this all has to do with my mental projection. Yeah, easy. Whoa, perfect. Everything came together perfectly. Land on the side, move to the top, focus on the kink, and then immediately focus on the spot where I want to land. And then my body does the adjustment and it's perfect. So that's how you grind long reels. If you want to learn more, follow the channel. I think the next episode we'll do something like wall rides and we'll do switch ups. So all the aspects of aggressive inline skating will be on our channel. We make a new video every week, so subscribe to the channel and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.